oportunidad de ganar los dados. Hey, oportunidad de ganar los dados. Es mi oportunidad de ganar los dados. Hey, oportunidad de ganar. Oh, wait, de ganar los dados. Oportunidad de ganar. You two, right over here. Los dados. And you. Oportunidad de ganar. ¡Woo! ¡Es loco! ¡Estoy loco! Los dados. ¡Au! Oportunidad de ganar. Los dados. How long is Los Dados going to go on? Good grief. Hey! Is that the chat room over there? Hey, Los Dados. We've got an oportunidad de ganar. Greetings, programs. Bienvenidos, Barachos y Dragones. Drunkens and Dragons. Another episode. How to play D&D like a big old badass. And it's on like Tron tonight. It's on like Genghis Khan. It's on like Mum Ron. That's not a person. I put an N on the end of Mum Ra. It's on like Ukla the Mock, baby, because I have got dragon's blood right here. And I am scared shitless. Mainly because of how it's going to come out. But for of my butt. But for the channel, for D&D, for the heroes of old, we're going to try this. This is four Scotch bonnet habanero peppers sliced up and put into a mixture of Finlandia vodka. Ooh, and a little bit of 151 just for flavor and good measure. And then soaked for 2-3 weeks. And smells like, I don't know, man. It does not smell like something that you should put inside your body. But you will not get an oportunidad por ganar if you don't los dados, right? So you know how this show works. You show up, you watch YouTube. Every once in a while I look over to the side. It's not because I don't love you. It's because the chat room's over there. And the chat room matters. Because without chat, I would just be a crazy person in a room by myself talking to a blue light. Which is a fate I do not want to suffer. Now, we do have the blood wine pre-mixed, ready to go right here, because I honestly don't know the forces that I'm messing with right now. If the full force of those peppers actually went into this liquid, it could be a minor issue. Now, hopefully the alcohol has somewhat diluted the Scotch bonnets, because I was cutting them and using not touching them, using a paper towel to cut them. And I just touched a little bit on my thumbnail and it burned like hell. So yeah. Okay. Well, you know how to do it. Everybody shows up, you watch the YouTube and you drink with me, your old buddy Hankering Furnail. That's right. From the Furnail clan. Mountain Dwarf all the way, baby. Sword Coast. What you know? West Sword Coast, right? All right, so enough stalling. You can tell it's stalling. So here's to you. Drink them if you got them. If you got some dragon's blood, pop it down. Tell them more to do. Is good, of course, and a good old Jägermeister. All right. What gods there are, may they protect me. Oh. Okay, well, it's super, super hot right away. So hopefully it won't have that lasting hell hot that these peppers can have. Sometimes if it's hot right away, that means you're kind of in the clear. It's when you drink it and you don't taste any heat. That's when it comes and gets you. Oh my God. Hair Pink, Lofi, and Huero from Cult Moo. You guys have got to try this, but I do not recommend more than maybe 2 shots max. Oh, that is rocket fuel. I want that. I want that blood wine, but I'm going to try to hold out. This is how Cult Moo does it when they do these crazy these crazy things try to hold out for like a couple of minutes without a relief drink. I thought we were here to play D&D. Instead, it's turning into some kind of frat gag gone wrong. Oh my God, the heat. The heat. I've been working on that lining of my stomach for years. Gone. Los dados. Oportunidad de ganar. Okay, I think I just went over the hump. It's starting to ease up. Wow. That is freaking spectacular. Do it. I would advise a little more dilution though. So this is probably a pint of hard alcohol. I would do 2 pints to get a little more consumable substance. That's a bit of a dare substance right there. Oh, man, that is just the heat. I'm getting an ab workout just right now. Like Bruce Lee only. Okay, enough stalling. Check out this new high-tech visual aid system. We have a pulley and carabiner here with a 3x5 card jammed into a piece of styrofoam. So that's how cool it is on Drunken and Dragons. I don't know how cool you guys are used to seeing. Oh, God. Oh, God. Ooh, anyone in this area just made a Constitution save or took 1d4 damage. That was intense. Okay, enough stalling. We've got our new visual aid up here, our new high-tech infographical system using pulley and styrofoam, which are, you know, supplies that are in abundance for the average D&D crafter. No, the wall behind me. No, this is see, this is hanging from a pulley, my friends. Yeah, because you need a pulley for your infographics. All right, what the hell are we doing? Let's get down to the point. It's 8:05. We've got 46 lumpy-headed crazy people in the room right now. So we got a 46-man D&D group at the table. So drink up. I'll do the talking. I'm just going to yammer on because usually after I do these, I just go silent for like a day and a half. So it's worth just letting it all hang out. Status update on my gaming, which I know everybody's always curious about. It's what we talk about on all kind of private threads. Thanks everybody for messaging me and asking questions and telling me awesome stories. It's so great. My 5th edition group is a little bit on a break just because of group complexities. Life arises. And for a second there, I had a little black clown tear. But after packing all 400 and some boxes for the Daring and the Doomed on Saturday, we had a great session playing the new experimental RPG called Mokhtar. This session was super fun. We just played like 2 hours. It was a blast. Got our dice rolling fix taken care of. You know, had a couple people drop, marked off some hit points, had some monsters, some cool traps. And it was great because it was mostly off the cuff, but built on some sort of tropes. Oh, shit. The drinking game. Some tropes that I've been bouncing around in my head. So it was a really fun session. Anyway, you know the game. Oh, my God. That is a heavenly nectar after drinking that fucked up rocket fuel rust monster spit. That's what that is. That's the stuff that's on those weird tendrils that you have to make the dex save to avoid, or it damages your weapon by 1 increment. You know what I'm saying? It's that crap. And I'm drinking it. All right. Public sales soon. Oh, on the Daring and the Doomed, yes, we got a surplus of copies printed well beyond what the Kickstarter did. So we instantly reinvested everybody's support from Kickstarter right into more copies. And if you guys go to runehammergames.com, you'll see there's a little coming soon area there for the Daring and the Doomed. We already have the shop set up. You will be able to order your own copy. And it looks awesome. I think Cult Moo is playing as we speak tonight. Got the first 100 or so copies delivered. A few copies to the locals delivered by hand. So that was fun. And people going to be playing the Daring and the Doomed this weekend, I guarantee. So we're going to see if everybody thinks that I am a complete crazy person and I tricked them out of their money, or if they're actually smiling by the end of the whole experience. All right, enough. Hey, what can someone, hey, what, we got a mean person here? Is that what this is? Is this a mean person? Yeah, I think we got a mean person. So, hey, Seth Wilson, peace out, dude. Okay, so he's gone. Sorry about that, guys. We got our first internet annoying troll, so he's ejected. Anyways, let's get to the point, shall we? Enough distractions. We're not here to talk about liquor. We're not here to talk about whatever the hell I was distracted talking about. We're here to talk about Dungeons and Dragons and how to freaking play. Now, a bunch of questions are all about how do I start? Like, I'm just getting into it, or it's the first time I've ever DM'd, or I just bought some shit, or my buddies just, we got a apartment together and we decided, fuck it, we're finally going to play some regular ass D&D, and I'm the guy and I don't know what I'm doing. Or we've been playing a little while and game's all slow and game's all clunky, and like, how come this is hell? I can't keep things moving smoothly, and so on and so forth. It's totally awesome. Like the props, the table, the dice, everything's really fun, but we just don't go through much in a night. In a lot of ways, similar questions. So threw together some ideas here about what we're calling the fluid fundamentals. Speaking of fluid. All right. What are the fluid fundamentals? The fluid fundamentals are just a set of principles that I've thrown together to try to give you an idea how to break this deadlock that thinking you're playing Dungeons and Dragons can really come and get you. It can come and lock you in, and you think you're supposed to do it a certain way, and there's books involved, and like there's people, so it's kind of like a party, like good times happening, but you also kind of want to control it. You want to focus on the game, and oh my gosh. So you're going to hear me talk about a lot of stuff tonight that goes totally counter to everything that you read in that first silly chapter of the Player's Handbook of D&D. Goes totally counter to everything you get in the Cragmaw Hideout starter set with Phandelver, and basically goes against almost all principles of the D20 system itself. Okay, so now the one thing I am assuming that you know is your fundamentals, right? Boom, D20, I roll this to succeed. Hell yeah, 17, boom, I succeeded. Unless the room DC was 18, but 17, damn it. All right, and then you're using other polyhedrals to roll damage, to determine time countdowns, quantities of effects, and other things. So you just want your few polyhedrals and the almighty D20. Lay eyes on your ambivalent god, for he will rule you. And that's all you need. If you understand those two things and you've practiced with them, you can start to do battles, right? Zymer attacks stills. Got to beat a 10 to hit stills. Why? Because 10. Zymer rolled an 8. He didn't hit him. That is the fundamental game. So especially if you roll a midline game, like a 10 game, where 10 is the average challenge number and you're rolling this beautiful little bastard, you've got a 50-50 chance on everything you try. It's just like pulling the arm on a one-armed bandit. Not the guy from Fugitive. That's the one-armed man. This is a slot machine. So another great way to do it, well, no, let's not get into other great ways. Let's get to the fluid fundamentals. Fluid fundamentals. Quit messing around, hankering fur now. All right, so I want to show you how to learn the game while you play the damn game. There's nothing worse than sitting down and having someone read the manual to me, or like there's some long thing and I don't get it. They've hit me with like 40 rules, and then I got things in my hands, and then I don't know what's happening, and I don't feel very smart, and no one likes to feel dumb. So a lot of what I'm going to talk about in fluid fundamentals, do it while you frickin' play, okay? So whether you're already in a campaign or you're starting a campaign fresh, you will find yourself in an effing tavern, all right? It just frickin' happens. I know it's really commonplace. It's pretty damn boring. I don't even have cool props. I mean, look what I got. Can you see it? Sure. I got wood floors, a little wooden door, and I got a stone back wall. The bar, the tables, the chairs, they're all in your imagination, all that cool stuff. Maybe I got here, there's a hearth. Boom, hearth, all right? So the crafting level, minuscule here, doesn't matter, all right? Welcome to the game, guys. After a long adventure, or since you just met, you find yourself sitting over here by the fire in the tavern. Okay, now we're going to get into the very first set of principles that are going to let you unleash this first encounter, all right? How do I prep? You got to do at least 20 minutes of prep if your friends are coming over to have fun. And I'm talking about doing the dishes, clean your bathroom, put on pants, and design a couple of good rooms for your campaign. All right. So if you're designing rooms, what are you doing to design good rooms? Now, you guys know the answer to this question. This is perennial right here. This is a little science we like to call room design, right? So you got 3 principles when you're doing room design. This is you jotting down your notes. Tavern, that's your first note. Then you got your timer. An army of goblins is going to show up. That's all you need to write down. The treat, there is a big storage area over here with beer barrels in it. Awesome beer barrels. And finally, the threat. The threat is a small number of goblins who walk into the tavern. Different from the army now, in important ways. All right, so the players are sitting there, give them a minute, maybe use your sand timer and say, you guys meet some other adventurers on the road. They seem like pretty cool people and like you're having a beer together. Or you just had an adventure and it's like after you killed the master of the Gray Quarry, you return here to have a break and you're drinking a beer when there's strange sound front door. Opens up. 3 nasty goblins come in from the rain, all fired up and wanting to get drunk. By the way, goblins are not welcome indoors. They smell worse than dogs. Wet, poop-covered dogs. All right? So, boom, you've got your room design. So, remember your principles. That's all you got to do for prep. The timer. You've got a goblin army coming. Roll 1d4. In that many turns, I rolled a 3. They're going to show up. And when they show up, it's like serious shit. Like there's a lot of them, okay? It just gives the battle imminence. Number 2, the treat. There's huge barrels of beer. Make sure you remind the players. This tavern is pretty normal, except over there, there's some giant barrels of, like, they look like awesome crafted beer. And the bartender isn't really serving them to anybody. Like maybe it's some kind of private reserve or something, but it looks damn good. It's like in redwood barrels. Like how cool is that? And then finally, the threat. Something needs to crack the room and crack the suspense. You can't just be sitting there forever. Now, you don't have to make the game frenetic, but if your players sit and chat too long, it can feel like, what's the structure here? So let them talk, let them come up with some new big goals they're doing. They need to get some treasure to work on the tower, and they got to save that girl and that side quest they never did, and the owlbear that has no face and whatever. Okay? But then the threat arrives. Boom, here it is. 3 goblins, nasty, wet, they smell like poopy dogs, and they are itching for a fight, and they want to get drunk, right? So they come in, and that is when we come to our very first fluid fundamental that you have got to employ, and it is called, this visual aid is amazing, simple turn order. Do not fuck with the initiative system. It hates you, and you will hate it. All right, just do this. Everybody, roll 1d20. What'd you get? I got a 12. Someone at the table is probably going to beat me with like a 15, right? They just won initiative. They go first. And then you go clockwise from there. That's it. The DM's turn is all the bad guys, the timer clicking down for the army's arrival, anything else that might happen with NPCs. And then you go to the next player, and you go around the damn board clockwise like a normal fucking game. You don't zigzag your way around the table with post-it notes and all kinds of bullshit for no reason. It doesn't add anything to the game to do zigzagging initiative order, but it does add something to game for someone to get the jump. And if you actually want to call that to the table, it can work. Roll initiative to someone who's brand new to D&D is like, roll what? But if you say, roll a D20, highest roll gets the jump on the situation. Cool. Oh God, I rolled a 2. I'm spaced out, drinking my beer, not even paying attention. Then give a description to the winner. The winner didn't trust this bar at all, and he actually heard footsteps outside. And by the time the goblins are in, he's up on his feet about to spring. It's that freaking simple. I'm serious, man. Like, what? You mad, spam, demon baby? What's this demon baby? Oh, is this the spammer back? Hang on a second, guys. Let's just kick him out of there. Okay, so he's going to have to go make another user. Okay, anyway, that's simple turn order. That's the whole thing. Write that shit down and do it in your group. I'm serious. Now, there's going to be some kind of hardcore DMs out there think I'm crazy. They're probably not even watching this video. So I don't I don't care anyways, because this is the superior way to run a fast, funny game. Now, people can still hold action or, wait to time things with each other and cooperate. You don't have to be a troll with your simple turn order. Just make your life 1,000 times easier and don't track zigzagging initiative, because you're better than that. And you're drunk, so you do not want to be, who's next? What? If you added up all the moments that DMs and players pause to figure out initiative, I bet it would be 1/3 of every session. That's right. That's right, I said it. Oh, God. How do I... this freaking guy. Whatever. I'm just going to let it be. It's just going to get worse. So, welcome to the internet, dickwad. Have a good time with yourself there. Okay. Next up. What do we got? Simple turn order. All right. Do not be derailed by this guy. I don't want to be derailed by this guy. He's clearly deeply troubled. All right. So next up, you've got the room started. You've never actually even run a frickin' D&D room. And it's a little like, oh shit, what am I doing? You need to get your basics starting to roll, okay? Now, what's a frickin' turn? It's the first question that comes up. Okay, well, I did what Hankerin said. I started the room off. I know that the goblin army is going to arrive. I've got my magic beer over in the corner. Sweet, what a setup. But wait, things have to happen. Okay, we do simple turn order. Brr. Stills 1, our little rogue, if you guys remember the Median Rangers, which is this group. Stills wins the initiative. It's his turn, but he's never played D&D in his life, never even played a tabletop game. And he's just, what do I do on my turn? This is a classic question that you hear in new groups in D&D. What do I do? Or I'm not sure what to do, okay? This is real. And it's not like a stigma or like something's wrong with them or they need to know. This is just an honest part of people learning the game. They have a moment where they show up, everybody knows what's going on, and then they're a little bit like, what do I do? This is where you go back to the fundamentals. And here is our next triumvirate of concepts up here in our visual aid here. Here we go. All right. This is the triumvirate of what you tell a player they do on each turn. It's a key 3 concepts to teach the game. Your role as the dungeon master is not only to provide some guidance for where the story goes, provide management of enemies, and, basically make things kind of crazy and shocking and exciting. It's also to take new players and bring them into the fold in a way that doesn't make them feel like they should know something they don't, that doesn't make them go slow, and that doesn't just leave them out. It gives them the spotlight. So here's what you do. Number 1, I'm talking to a new player now. Your turn is going to be describe what you're doing. It could be almost anything you can imagine. Roll for it somehow. I'll help you do that part. And then react to what happens with your roll. That's a turn. That's every freaking turn. If I have players doing something besides those 3 things every turn, we're in La La Land. It needs to be tight. Even when the describe step is highly complicated, you better, as a good DM, have a simple roll. Okay, what are examples? Stills jumps into action. He leaps across the room and he wants to balance on the bar, right? So he's just over here. Here, we'll give him a little dice so that he's up high, right? So he jumps up onto the bar to threaten these goblins that are storming in. So I'm going to say, great, roll agility. And the guy says, okay, well, what am I trying to beat? And this is where you get your next principle is about to come up. 1 DC for your whole room. Now, remember, we're doing 10s. Beat a 10. He's like, I don't even know what bonuses are. You haven't even told him that yet. Just roll higher than a 10. Nice, 13. No bonuses, no abilities, no stats, no mods, no nothing. Just roll a D20. 13, he beats a 10. He jumps up successfully onto the bar. That player just described what they're going to do, rolled for it, and reacted by succeeding at what they tried. The next guy, Helm, he stands up at the table, draws his sword, and says, get out, you nasty, wet, poopy goblins. Your kind isn't welcome here, trying to intimidate them. And that's what he tells me as a player. So I say, great, roll for it. He says, okay. He says, oh, hey, by the way, I have +1 on charisma. And I'm like, oh, cool. Fun fact. Add 1 to your roll. Gets an 11, so just barely makes it. So only one of the goblins is totally intimidated. And he's like, oh, God, I don't want to mess with a guy in armor. Ah! Runs off into the night. So you see, he just barely succeeded. So as the DM, I made his success a little bit dubious. Next up, Zymer steps forward and takes a closer look. The armor on this goblin is very unusual. He's like, he asks me in part of his description, as a player, do I recognize this weird armor that these goblins are wearing? I examine it. That's described. And I say, roll for it. He goes, oh, well, I'm Zymer, so I have a +2 on intelligence. I'm like, great, add it to your D20. Boop, got a 10. Oh, man. So he just hits the difficulty threshold. With a success that close, I'm going to barely reward him with information. So I'm going to say, like, you do recognize it. It is highly unusual, and the elite guard of some clan, you can't remember the name. But these are elite guards. Oh, so Zymer tells the other players that, hey, you guys, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so now you have all your players learning what a turn is. Now notice, you're not getting into a bunch of crap, but there was one piece that was inevitable. And that is, as many of my viewers know, 1 room DC to rule them all. When you make a room, you put a number on that sucker. Boom, here we go. This D12 is my DC. It's a 10. Every challenge that is run in this room has to beat a 10. It's that effing simple. Don't make it slightly more difficult to push the door open, slightly more difficult to find the hidden scroll, slightly less difficult to jump on the bar, slightly more difficult than that one to find the hidden beer. No, 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 no. It's just one freaking number. And at first you're going to say, like, well, what about all the detail? You don't need it. The dice make things go crazy. And especially a midline DC is a great way to just 50-50 the game. Sometimes players are hitting it, sometimes they're not. If you're not sure how to balance difficulty, 10 to 12 is perfect for any part of the game. Now, high-level players, they have a lot of bonuses, right? So 10 to 12 gets a little too easy. But you're not worried about that because you're a new player. You've got a 10 room. Almost all your players are always just rolling a D20 with no bonuses. None. You're not doing proficiency bonuses. You're not doing all this dumb crap from the character sheet. Screw all that. They're brand new characters. You're playing this part of the game just to teach them. So your characters were not made. They're just in free space right now. And they're starting to write down their characters as you play. Okay? That brings me to the next concept as our tavern battle unfolds. And that is, you've heard me talking about bonuses, right? If the players didn't roll up characters in a traditional way, well, then how did Zymer know that he has a +2 bonus on intelligence? It's a pretty good question. If you're smart enough to even ask that question as far as D&D smarts go, you probably already know where I'm headed next. Anyway, when you're initially creating characters with brand new players who are just learning D&D, do not mess with stats. They don't matter. Don't mess with proficiency, with skills, with any of it. You know what you need to write down to create your character? His name, kind of what he is, which some would call class, and a couple of bonuses that you and the DM agree on. Everyone understands bonuses without understanding the game. So you say, like, well, my name's Helm. I want to have armor and be like a warrior guy, and I want to have, like, you know, cool strength. And you're like, cool, you have a +1 strength. So you need to write down Helm, fighter, +1 strength. That's the entire character. Then they're going to wonder, aren't there hit points? Give them 12. There you go. No, 10. 10 is your new god number. Give them 10 hit points. It doesn't matter what they're doing. You don't want them pouring through books. It doesn't matter. There's time for all that. Right now, you're just saying this game is really simple and fun. You're a fighter. You have a sword. You have 10 hit points. You got +1 on strength. Your name is Helm. And you come from some castle. And they're like, awesome, let's go. And you're ready to play. Now, if Helm attacks, he's like, well, I hit him with my sword. Wait, how do I do a sword attack? You're like, well, use your strength bonus, beat a 10. Did it. Now, did you notice Normally, I would roll on the armor class of the bad guy. You're not doing that yet. You don't care about armor class yet. You're still just teaching the rhythm. Beat a 10. Succeed. Don't beat a 10. Whoa, things get a little hairy. Beat a 10. Succeed. Beat it. You see, and just the rhythm going around the table and just get everyone groovy with barely any information. And you can play this way for multiple nights and you will have a blast. Then your players at a certain moment, and this is up to you to read, they're going to want to start wanting a little more out of the game. That's when you want to get into classes. Now, you knew that I had to go there, right? It's a big part of the game. What class are you? How do you fit into the group? Let's proceed with our situation and find out how it can be interesting. Okay, so they dispatch the stinky, wet, poopy goblins, right? It's bound to happen. Then we've got, well, this isn't exactly, but we have our goblin army here. So the goblin army arrives at the front door and bursts, just knocks the door down utterly, bursts into the tavern. Holy crap! Stills is still up on the bar. Foxy's back here eating beef jerky in the corner, and Helm is over here investigating the magic beer. In bursts the army. Now, normally this is when a mage is critical. You need a shockwave or a thunderclap, or you need a fireball, or you need burning hands, something with a cone, something that can take care of some business here. But wait a minute, we don't have a wizard, we don't have spells, we don't even have stats. So what the hell? And this is a moment when you want players to feel that classes could be interesting. So what's going to happen is these guys are going to engage the army somehow and sort of try to flee, and they're going to be outclassed and outmatched. And when that happens, they're going to try to look for some kind of hope. Now, invariably, if you have fire in your environment, one player, and I swear this happens all the time, will go over and see if they can light things on fire to scare away the bad guys. Use that a little bit. But now Zymer should be feeling like, well, I kind of wanted to be like a wizard character. And then you just say, roll intelligence to see if you can remember a spell. Oh, wait, yeah, that's right. I get +2 on those rolls. 4. I can't remember. The battle goes on. He tries again later on another turn. Ooh, 19. So not only does he remember, he accidentally casts a spell. But there's no spell card. There's no spell slots. He has no spells in his book. He casts Fireball and destroys the goblin army in one swoop. What rule is that? What the hell are you talking about, Hankerin? Just let it happen. Let it happen. What just occurred is awesome. They just realized that Helm and Stills, there's no way they could have just hacked their way through those guys. They needed that wizard. And now we come to our next principle. So remember, the last one was use bonuses, not stats, when you're making new stuff for new players. Don't bother with stats. They're so derivative. Look at this. Magic is prestige in your world when you're a new player and a new DM. There are no spell casting classes for new players, period. You are a fighter, a rogue, or like a fighter with bad equipment who's interested in magic. Seriously. Either you're interested in druidic, ranger, cleric, or wizard magic, but you're not there yet because you're new and it's too complex. But if the game can have flexible moments where it's just an intelligence roll to sort of accidentally cast a spell and then people think of you as a wizard, you start to work your way toward a wizard. But on paper, all you are, remember, is a name, a sort of an appearance, hit points, and maybe a bonus or two. That's it. So Zymer, all he is a guy in cloth named Zymer with a wacky book who has a +2 intelligence. That's his entire character. But together we can start to realize it. Now, when he reaches like 2nd level or we actually flesh the characters out, I'm going to start introducing him to using spells just by giving him a couple cantrips. And him getting those cantrips is going to be awesome because the group is going to feel upgraded. And this is the fun of the game, man. Not being baffled when you start reading the player's handbook and trying to figure it all out in one go. Don't do that. That's crazy. It's like doing your taxes, as I always say. So I'll tell you what, I miss the dragon's blood now. The heat is finally gone, and I miss it. Good to have you, Cyrus. So I think you guys see where I'm headed. And it might seem a little bit like, well, you're tearing D&D apart, dude. You're damn right I am. These people are new. They don't know what the hell's going on. I don't want to have like 3 sessions just for them to get a clue. That's no fun. Adapt to them. And especially you as the DM, man, you're the most terrified of them all. If you're new and you're trying to run a game, you're like in the hot seat over here. Anyway, the room continues. Helm finds out that these 2 beer barrels have like a strength beer and has a healing beer. And so they load up on healing beer and they get the hell out of here. Now, players after an encounter like this are always going to have some kind of mission. They're going to want to go, you know, avenge maybe the bartender was killed. Maybe a fine maiden was killed. They're going to go find the hideout. They got to, you know what I mean? Players are always like this. They come up with all kinds of crazy stuff. So later in the campaign, I hope you can see everything here. Later in the campaign, we've got some nice tropes. Shit. Well, you know what time it is when I say that. Here comes the dragon blood again. God dang it. Dang no stinking word. And I almost said it again just as I said that I said it. Oh my God, the smell on that is just would scare away most animals. Here's to you guys. Good to have you in the room. We got 67 cool, lumpy-headed freaks watching the show right now. It's great to have you guys. We are learning fluid fundamentals, how to move your game fast and teach it to new players and teach it to yourself when you're a new DM. Here's to you. Thanks for watching Drunkards and Dragons. Oh, don't shoot that slowly. Oh. Oh. Whoa. Okay, no relief for the wicked. Good gravy, man. That is psychotic. What would lead a person to do that to their body? Okay. Welcome to the dungeon later in the adventure. Okay, this one, DC 12. So I got my D12 here. I'm going to put 12 side up, and that way I always know how difficult everything is. Okay, so putting that right into play. Now, this is a much more interesting space. Look at that. It's a big, long, narrow corridor, and it gets dark down here at the far end, and looks like the entrance to the dungeon where the goblins have hidden the maiden, right? There's a kidnapping. You're going to have some new challenges that come up, like how to run a monster effectively, an interesting monster. Goblins are they just run in and die. It's super fun and easy. But these principles will apply to your goblin fight as well. And then also, you're going to have space to deal with. Now, in the tavern, there's not much room to run around, especially with the way some people do their 3D crafting. The props and everything are so awesome. There's just not much room. It's not like there's a lot of archery and range checks and crazy stuff like that, right? But this is a big, long room. So you're going to have to start thinking about space. Whoa. All right. So you roll to go first. That's way better than saying initiative. Roll to go first. Everybody just goes, okay. And then one guy by now, because we've been playing a few hours, says, hey, I have +1 on dexterity, remember? Because I'm an elf, whatever. So I had 1, so I won that roll. Okay, great. Nice job, dude. You go first. Whoop, great. So let's say it's Stills, who's not an elf. He's totally a half goblin. He goes in and he's like, can I make it over to this wooden floor area? Classic question you always hear from new players. Can I make it over to the block? How far can I go exactly? Now, everybody's move is 30 generally, right? In D&D, 25 or 30. But you have to do division. Actual freaking division or long addition to figure out how far that is on a game board. That's ridiculous. All right, now we got our next principle. Magic is prestige. Use spaces, not feet. If Stills says, how far can I go? You tell him 6 spaces, right? Don't tell him about feet. Feet don't matter. Space is a little square on the board. He's, oh, okay. And then you say, hey, by the way, you see speed on your sheet? Write down 6. You get 6 spaces. That's your speed right now. If you want to improve it in the future, we can work on that. There's some different ways you can do that. For now, 6 spaces. Okay. Don't talk about double moves. Don't talk about all that shit. Doesn't matter. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, he just made it. Cool. Can I investigate this? Definitely. No bonuses, just beating a 12. 17. So he goes up and he inspects the wooden floor there like a true rogue. He's like, I don't know. I smell a rat. This is a weird looking floor. Go around the turns. Okay, they go up. They make some more rolls. They realize, oh my God, it's a trap. Somebody does some dumb shit. And, you got this little guy sitting around that you drew. And I have a 3D one of these, but honestly, it's not as funny. So you pop that, and Zymer's out there, and he gets skewered and takes some damage. And holy shit, okay, well, they rescue him and move on. And, for new players, that's a good bit of gameplay right there. Wow, that trap sucked. Zymer's too old for this shit, right? So I hope you can see inside the corridor here. Now we're going to have our first monster battle that these players have ever encountered, and you're going to hit them with one of these little babies. That's right. A gelatinous effing cube. Are they ready for this? Hell no. But you've got a new way that you're going to run monsters, and you're going to introduce them to your monster. Now, meanwhile, these two goblins come around the gelatinous cube, and they're poking it with like a hot prod to move it down the corridor, right? So you're using simple things like the cube can move 2 spaces. The goblins can move 4 spaces. You see, you reinforce that term because the board is what's telling you that term. The board is not measured in feet. It would be ridiculous. They're moving down. These guys are like, I think we're going to have to fight this thing because the spikes don't look like something I want to walk back over. So I've heard about these things. Like this is some kind of a D&D, kind of a super classic monster. But when you looked up the monster, you got baffled. You're like, there's too much info here, man. This is crazy. And this is where we're going to come to our next principle for learning DMs and learning players. Simple effing monster stats. Just because it says all these weird compound stats in the monster manual does not mean you have any obligation to make your game weird and complex. Why does that keep returning to that angle? That's kind of weird. Well, that's the joy of a pulley, right? I can do that. You don't have to give it 63 hit points because it's such a weird number. It doesn't have to do 2d8 plus 2 damage. Like, what's so great about that? Why is that magically balanced? It's not. They just put that stuff in there to make it seem like there's more variety and depth than there really is. You're going to move in with this thing and do what you think this should do. Now, if you looked it up in the monster manual, good for you. If you have no idea what the fuck a gelatinous cube does, fine. It'll be just as awesome. It's a giant jelly cube that like slurps on people and kills them. Okay, you can make up the rest if you have to. But what you're going to do that's new is you're going to do the stats really simply. Now, how do you do that? This is the magic card right here, man. This is it. This is 4 categories that every monster in the whole beginning of your campaign can fall into, and you'll never be disappointed. Now, I hope you can see that there on my infographic. So when you're doing your prep or when you're running the game live, you only have to remember one of 4 facts about a monster. Which one of these 4 things does it fall into? That's all you got to remember. Is it an A, B, C, or D monster? Or if you prefer, is it a 1, 2, 3, or 4 level monster? Right? So you can see a goblin is a level 1 monster. He has 8 hit points, say, whatever, 6 is even a better number, and does 1d6 damage. Everything in your world that is level 1 easiness, monster-wise, has fucking 6 hit points and does 1d6 damage. It's that easy. This is a gelatinous cube, so I would call it like a 3. Okay? So the 3 will give him max, so he's got 36 hit points, and he does 2d6 damage. Remember, these guys are beginning players. They have 10 hit points. 2d6 damage is crazy. You don't need to know all the special data about how a gelatinous cube does its damage because you can just say, well, it slurps out with a pseudopod and it does 2d6 damage. It engulfs you. And for every round that you're trapped in there, it does 2d6 damage. The player says, well, how do I get out of here? I don't know, like roll strength. It happens to be Helm. He gets a +1, makes an 8, does not beat the 12. He takes another 2d6 damage. Right? Ooh, 6, 8. If that was his first hit, he has 2 hit points left. But thankfully, they have like 7 vials of healing beer. This is key that I put the healing beer in there because I don't want these guys to have healing magic yet. And I don't want to bother them and confuse them with healing magic. So I just gave them a nice little fountain of healing right at the beginning of the game. It's going to be clutch. So you've got a level 1 monster over here, 2 of them, and you've got a level 3 monster right here. That's all you got to remember, and it's really freaking easy to track. Then you just got your piece of paper over here where you mark how much damage get done because they're poking the thing. They burn it with the torch, which is creative. You know, you give the guy inspiration for doing that. And then you're like, oh, yeah, okay, you melt the thing away. Great job. The goblins, one of them runs up and is killed in combat. The other one is terrified. And you see a distant glow at the end of the corridor, some kind of strange machine near a door. Now, keep in mind, I have no idea what I'm doing, just making that up. There you go. You have just gotten through all of the principles that I wanted to show for fluid fundamentals. You went from sitting down at the table, having no idea what's happening, putting them into a tavern, which is like where everything begins in D&D. Just face it. Don't fight it. All the way to a dungeon-style encounter, including a trap and a set of monsters. And you did the whole thing with nothing but these few little 3x5 cards that I just showed you. And this little guy to track DC, I didn't use anything from any rule books. I don't even know what bonuses really mean, let's say. I haven't looked up the chart of how bonuses work. But I did hear somewhere that like a +1 sword is cool. So I know that adding 1 to my roll is cool. And you know, it doesn't take many rolls to realize that +2 is badass. Ooh, an 8. I just fell in the pit. So I think you guys can see. Whoa, look at this big green message. This thing's crazy. The only complaint I had with your book, I wanted more description. Thank you for being awesome. I watched your bookcraft video when it came out. I bought the book. You bought, as well as I don't know what all that means. That's written in a bit of a strange way. I will work on more description next time. Okay, enough with the distractions. That is it. Now, it's 8:45 already, so I think I'm kind of in a timely fashion here. So I want to recap, okay? Is a recap okay with everybody? Does everybody feel good about a quick recap? Hey, a tip came out. Huzzah for the generous tip up, as we say at Ren Fair. And Nadal Ribeiro, greetings. Welcome to the stream. Okay, these are in random order because I just grabbed them, all right? How to teach a player how to play the game. This is a turn right here. When it's your turn, you describe what you're doing, roll to see if you make it happen, and then react to the results of the roll. That is the game. The rest is a little bit of creativity that we'll learn over time. Simple turn order, man, what a doozy. Just roll a D20, the winner goes first and go clockwise. Don't make it hard. If you want to act crazy, put a dex bonus on it, but even that is weird. How does dexterity give you the jump on other people? It involves experience, it involves wits, it involves heightened senses. Just make it a D20 roll, man. Finally, the 3 principles, not finally, what am I saying? The 3 principles of room design. Make sure there's a timer to give things imminence. Make sure there's a treat, some little thing that'll give them a heal or maybe a treasure, a little pile of coins, whatever. And then finally a threat. That's usually monsters and traps. That's the title card. Simple monster stats. And then there's the card that goes with this is this one. Right there. Simple monster stats. Set up 4 classes of monsters and just give them stats and rerun those stats again and again and again with new and interesting descriptions. Make the descriptions cool, not some stats that simulate detail that doesn't matter. Oh yeah, the one room DC. Those of you who are trying this at home, you know this is the shit. When you're making early characters, just do bonuses. What's the bonus for a 14 stat? I can't remember. What do you mean? What's a stat? Who cares? I made a brand new character. You've got a +1 strength because you're a fighter. You got a +2 intelligence because you're like an old man wizard. And stills, you got a +1 dexterity because you're a nimble little rogue. We're ready to play. Be simple. Later, when they start reading the books and getting into the game, if they do, then we can go deeper and we can get into all the cool stuff. But this is the way to teach it. Magic in your world is prestigious. You don't have level 1 people who know nothing about D&D walking in with 6 cantrips and 2 spells and no idea how to use slots and the whole deal. It's a train wreck. So find a clever way to bring your players into a magical world gradually and let them become magical. Finally, don't measure things in feet because that's dumb. Spaces. People who play board games understand spaces, and that's almost everybody on Earth. So they're going to understand your game and your germ because you're talking in spaces. All right? That's it. That's all I got for tonight. I hope that this answers some of the big questions, namely from Black Magic Craft, who is asking about fluid play, and a couple of other viewers who are asking about starting play and learning. Yeah. So that was also, I tried to follow my own rules to prepare the video tonight. So, you know, man, I got a job like everybody else. So I came home, made some dinner, sat down, checked my emails, you know what I mean? Get the dogs all where they're, you know, there's food in one end and poop out the other. Made everything's copacetic. I had about 15, 20 minutes to sit down, make my 3x5 cards, these ones right here, and clean my space up and make my drinks. And that's a great way to be if you're a DM. Now, you will reach a point where you get crazy and you're spending like hours creating all these brilliant scenarios and stuff. Fuck yeah, do that. But at the very least, to make the game fun, you're going to need that 20 minutes to sit down and be like, okay, I think we're going to do a tavern, be some goblins, and then we'll do a tunnel. There'll be a gelatinous cube. That would be cool. And then there'll be like a wizard in a final room with like a spike ball that's swinging on a chain. There you go. That's a night of gameplay. That's all you need, and honestly, all the players can handle. You don't want to hit them with a lot of detail and like inside jokes and subtlety that all come with D&D. Man, you got months before that's going to work. Just ease them on into it. And I think you'll have a lot more fun as a DM. You're going to have a lot more time to get into the crazy fun, you know, accents and descriptions. And your players are going to have more fun being imaginative with what they do rather than poring over their sheet trying to figure out what the fuck a proficiency bonus is. Hey, Jason Coutinho. Thanks, man. Good to have you. Ed Stevens. Good to have you on the show, everybody. Wait, don't go. Say more D&D stuff. I am Eon. That's a cool username. I like that. It's like some Unicron shit. Nick the Rat, what's up? Do you have, yeah, okay, this is a side thing. Saludos, sí, los dados, oportunidad de ganar. That's the theme tonight. This stuff is good. This stuff's real good. It's low calorie, has a hell of a buzz, and it's good for heart health. When you're my age, you take Centrum Silver and you drink blood wine, damn it. That's about it. We got 10 more minutes, so, you know, feel free to throw stuff up. Hey, yo, Cody. Knowing each other can lend situations played a game that can also be gathered by those who don't. Yeah. We actually recently had a bit of an experience with this. Is we had a group with two people that didn't know each other. And you guys probably have been part of this before, but, you know, when we started playing, they didn't really get to know each other. They didn't really introduce each other. They didn't really, you know, what do you do? What are you all about? What's your thing? Oh, yeah, I know that guy. You know, that kind of thing. They kind of just let it slide that they didn't really know each other, and it was a total party kill. Cyrus can testify to that. I mean, you know, good on him. Great job playing, but it was pretty funny. That social bond really is critical to fun play because you want to help each other. You want to save each other. You have like a kind of a low-level rivalry where you kind of one-up each other or want to make each other look stupid. I've been wanting to visit Washington again. I'm about to get my license. Well, fan-freaking-tastic. There has been talk of Runehammer Con. So I don't know if that's real yet, but we have been talking about it. Further details on that as they become available. But yeah, there is an open invite Thursday nights at the Black Raven in Woodinville. Go there, drink beer with us. We go there every week and drink beer together to renew the bonds of fellowship because that shit matters. That's why we're playing D&D. Thank you, Cyrus, for bringing it back to the real issue. Why do you want to get into this when people don't know how to play or when you don't know how to play and you're trying to be a DM? Why make all this effort? Because it's a fantastic way to hang out with your friends and not stare at the TV or wander around and spend a ton of money on shit. Well, give or take. But to just kick it in the house, spend a little time together, have a laugh. Somebody's going to act weird. Someone's going to pull their shirt over their head and disappear into a phantasmagoric twilight, strange illuminations. Whew. Gone in late, but I wanted to say thanks for what you do. That's Greg Spiller showing up on the channel. Good to have you, man. I'm an old school player, but I get back in it. Hell yeah, Greg, that's good to hear, man. I love it when people are saying that. We got a lot of people who are rolling up on the channel saying, I used to play back in the day. It's too much of a pain in the ass, but maybe it can be simple and fun. I'm in. So hell yeah. And it's not just because there's some kind of renaissance with D&D or board games or whatever. That's all just marketing. We've been here all along, baby. It was never a drought. We were playing the whole damn time. It's just sometimes we get press coverage and sometimes we don't. So I find this renaissance shit to be cute. So it's great to have everybody back. Don Forged, what's up? I don't see you on there. Don Forged, hit me with your question. By the way, good to have you. If you guys haven't subbed to Don Forged Cast, go over there and do it. Why not? He's the Lord of Pathfinder. For flashcards, screen cards, drop the text like 1 inch. Hard to read. Oh, you mean my pulley needs to be lower? Screen cards drop that next like 1 inch. Hard to read, but awesome idea. Yeah, well, you know, hey, we got a big production budget here at Dungeons and Dragons, topping the $12 range. We definitely have some great videos. Yeah, what's Don Forge's question? Should I scroll up? Good, that sounds difficult. Scrolling. Oh God. Scrolling. Nope, I can't. Oh wait, I saw it. Don Forge Cast. What is the drink called? Oh no. Do you find terrain helpful in hindering newcomers buying their imagination what is on the table, not in their minds? Damn, that's the kind of question that an experienced DM would ask for sure. Well, hey man, DFC, good to have you on the show for starters. Much respect, namaste. As you can see, I try to keep it hella loose with the terrain because I do think that too much of it, although extremely photogenic and super cool, can definitely bind imagination. So if you see too many chairs and tables and little bottles and things, I think it can become like literal. Whereas I love to have players ask like, is there a table I can jump on? Or are there stools in this bar? Is there an arcade machine in the corner? You know, like these questions are great. And if your terrain's too detailed, they won't ask those questions. Even more so with a dungeon. Like a dungeon's a very imaginative place. And if you really sculpt it out, it's kind of like, hi, I'm in a tunnel. And you want everyone, it's like why books are so great is you get to imagine the grandeur yourself. And so for beginning characters, your question in specific, I think that just a little bit of terrain really helps. But too much, it can be intimidating and binding. But you see how I do it. This is everything that I would need for a night of gaming right here. So I got a couple of my little Pathfinder pawns, a couple of 3D minis. The board is almost the most important piece. And a couple of 3D things, but mainly I make my living with these little guys. You know, these little guys are so easy to make and so descriptive, and yet there's something about them that's really magic that lets the players keep being inventive. So rather than having a little 3D pile of, you know, barrels and chests, you just have this card and you put, you know, there's supplies over here, and it makes them want to search it, and it just keeps it more loose. So I hope that answers your question. I think that terrain definitely helps with brand new players learning. It gives them something to stare at. And I think it's really important that you have something to focus your mind on besides a sort of a sheet of information. Sheet of information is the thing you look at a job. But this is something you look at because you're a big nerd who loves fantasy, right? And so it's great to just be like, oh, yeah, man, I'm down in there. And you know, you always got to have your cool fantasy music in the background and everything. So that's my answer. The brand new players get something to really latch onto, and I think it really helps. Especially, you know, theater of the mind for someone who's never played tabletop can be very challenging. Like you'll find that they sort of recede. They don't really take the spotlight. But you knew that because you're an awesome DM. It's big, visible, good. I love using my mind's eye to picture things, but I like, yeah, I agree, I Splice. It's just a little bit of both. It's like so many damn things in life. It's just a little bit of both. A little bit of both. Hey, there's Bungwires, my favorite username. Your terrain is fantastic, was never my fortes. Mugs up. Hey. Thanks for the compliment to DFC. Appreciate that. As you guys probably know, I've slowed way down on terrain creation. I'm sorry about that. I'm not sorry, but yeah, actually, I'm a little sorry. I'm a sorry son of a bitch. But I tell you what, man, this Kickstarter stuff, you got to watch out. It'll creep up on you. It's a lot of work. So I'm very excited to get that over with as soon as possible and get back to DMing, get my 5e group back together and get it humming again. And well, spoiler, my current craft project, which I'm not going to show tonight, is making Spelljammers. So I'm making like a space galleon and then a sort of a big spider ship. So if any of you are familiar with Spelljammer, you'll know what those are. Crazy shit. So it's going to be awesome. And that's what I'm working on. But I am not going to show you tonight. Oh, we got another one of these guys. I guess we have finally become a legitimate, awesome channel because we have these dumbasses in here saying stupid off-topic stuff. So we finally have arrived. Yes. We are a public forum. And we're not going to take any shit anymore. So whoever figured out a way to banish the other troll, do it on this guy for me, would you? Do me a favor while I continue to yammer for a couple minutes. Looks like we're out of time. It's about 9 o'clock. Yeah, thanks, I Spliced. I made it. We've reached troll level of awesomeness. 68 great folks hanging in the room right now. Great to have you guys. Thanks for tuning in. You know, and I don't even know if I need to announce it anymore, but every Tuesday, we're going to come and hang out for an hour. I think it's a great way to get down to the nitty-gritty of the game. Next week, we are talking about character creation and making it cool, making it interesting. So for once in a blue effing moon, I'm going to talk about player behavior, which is just like, what? Why would you do that? Mainly because if you're a dungeon master and you're getting good at what you're doing, a big part of it is to make players get good at things, to give them good idea seeds and to nurture them into awesome frickin' D&D players. So one of the ways that you do that is understand their mindset, understand what they want, and give them a unique angle to come at things that's simple. Unique and complex are not the same thing. They can be, but they don't have to be. Unique and simple is beautiful, like a blue crab. Got a little strange. Whoo-wee. Be ready for some input. Oh, great. Love that input, though. Really great session. Thanks again for letting us pick your brain for a bit. Drew Wunderlich. Good Nacht. Good to have you. And, yeah, okay, sure. Who's that asking? Cody? You troll. Well, you're not a troll. You don't deserve that. You're just mean. Might as well leave on a high note, right? Now, you guys are going to have to forgive me for pouring a half on this one because I think you can give me that slack. All right. This one's for the old gods and the new. For Room DCs, Fluid Fundamentals, and all you lumpy-headed crazy fools who make this channel awesome. Here's to you. The drool. There's a lot of really hot, molten hot drool involved. Oh, that one was way hot. Oh, God, what a rush. Man, that is going to make, it's going to be Mount Doom back there in the morning. Good Lord. Frodo and Sam are going to be on a little rock in a river of my stool in the morning because of that shit. And Frodo won't remember the taste of strawberries. Hey, Dark Hill, Katzigo, Wunderlich. Yeah. Thanks, everybody, for showing up. Trolls, go straight to hell. Get off our channel. You're not welcome here. And everybody else, great to have you. That's it. I'm done. I'm going to sign out. And I'll see you next Tuesday for another episode of Drunkards and Dragons. Strength, honor, and the dragon's blood. Oh. Los dados oportunidad de ganar.